The Ford Expedition gets a thorough redesign for 2025. On the outside, not much changes. On the inside, new interior design, brand new technology. Let's take this big 3-row SUV for a ride. The Expedition is now in its 5th generation. It's been on sale since the 1990s as one of Ford's largest, most capable 4x4 family haulers. If you need to tow the maximum, put the maximum amount of people at your Ford dealer, it starts and stops with the Expedition. Exterior dimensions are largely unchanged, but you'll see a new face. It's also wearing new off-road lights in the center of that grille. That indicates this is the Tremor that replaces last year's Timberline model. Now, Tremor is the off-road trim that Ford is offering on trucks from the Maverick to the F-150. And just like the Timberline before it, it's got orange accents on these 18-inch wheels, on the tow hooks, on the lettering all across the vehicle. And you'll also notice that these are 33-inch high all-terrain tires. There's a 2-inch lift, over 10.5 inches of total ground clearance. Significant. So better approach and departure angles if you're into that sort of thing, plus a limited slip rear differential. Now, the back of the Expedition, not really a fan of it. I thought the previous model looked a lot better. It kind of looks like it's aping the Tahoe a bit, and I don't really like this two-tone effect on this trim. Now, you can also get up to 24-inch wheels on the Expedition King Ranch or the Platinum with the Ultimate package, so you can have a more street-focused truck if you so desire. This one, I think I like the look of it. Again, it's the same type of Expedition we've been seeing for years. Nice clean look, especially in the front, but the rear could be better. The benefit of a full-size SUV is gobs of space, headroom, legroom, and for 2025, there's this. It's a power sliding console. It goes back about 10 inches. Under here, you can fit a full-size bag. That's pretty nice. This interior is higher quality than the previous generation. The fit, the finish, the panel gaps, the quality of the wood and leather, definitely a step up, down to details like the knurling on these air vents. I don't particularly like this squircle steering wheel or the screens, but I definitely cannot take away interior quality from this generation. Behind that big screen on top is a soundbar style fabric that connects all the speakers of the Bang & Olufsen stereo. I like that, plus the Tremor's orange stitching. The Expedition comes as a 7 or 8 passenger SUV. Now in the Tremor, the captain's chairs come standard in the second row. This is an option to have the bench. The outboard seats are heated, you got a separate climate zone, and of course, a ton of room, USB ports here. It's basic though, and there's no shades, which for over $80,000 and families with kids, they probably would want to have that. A welcome new feature for 2025 is this, a power split tailgate. And this can fold down and hold up to 500 pounds. And if you order the Cargo Tailgate Manager, which is essentially a folding shelf and table, you can rearrange it, have nice picnics in the back of your Expedition. Now, cargo space in total has increased versus the previous generation. Now there's a ton of space, over 108 cubic feet in total. So you're never gonna run out of room. And if you do, you order the Expedition Max. This third row also, just like before, is powered up and down, and you can also remote fold the headrest from the front seat. Power was never a problem for the Expedition. Twin turbo 3.5 liter V6. On the Tremor, it's making 440 horsepower and 510 pound-feet of torque. You can also get this top tune if you're getting the Platinum with the Ultimate package or the Stealth Performance package. All other Expedition trims use only 400 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. It's all just a software upgrade that Ford programs into the computer. No change at all mechanically. All Expedition trims except the base Active are 4-wheel drive. And on this Tremor, you're getting a locking rear differential, plus a special off-road mode here that you select way down here where the headlight switch used to be. So that's a little odd. But the response is great from this 10-speed automatic transmission. And in sport mode, it will hold the revs. But there's no paddle shifters. You would actually have to go down here to the dash to actually change it. And then you get a display up here. It kind of looks like it's a calculator. That's not the easiest way to really downshift or upshift in your family SUV, so it's best to just leave it be to automatic. Fuel efficiency doesn't change too much from the previous generation. You can get in the low 20s on the highway, You're getting in the teens, definitely in the city. There's no getting around a vehicle this big. But for all that, you get towing up to 9,600 pounds on 4x4 models. The max, because it's larger and there's more weight, takes away from that rating, goes up to about 9,000 pounds. And if you're getting the 4x2 models, it's anywhere from 6,000 to 6,300 pounds. But 9,600 is sure nice on a truck this big. Acceleration is just great, so that's the first part. Handling, less so. The steering wheel, to me, is just not even just a matter of road feel, it's a matter of the steering wheel's feel. It feels strange in my hands. It feels strange to look at. Now, I've seen this before in Toyota Prius models, all kinds of smaller cars, but you don't get the confidence of just holding something this tiny when a truck is this wide, this large, this heavy. I don't like that. It does make viewing the screen easier, yes, but from a driver's perspective, forget about the screens. It's just not giving me any confidence in how this vehicle is going to turn. I know it does, and when you actually get used to it, which I'm not, decent feedback, just okay. Ride quality is generally pretty good, and if you get other Expedition models, you can get adaptive dampers, but there's nothing fancy going on, just four-wheel independent suspension. This Tremor model does bounce around a little bit more than some of the other Expedition trims, just because it is riding higher and it is specifically tuned for off-road. I would, however, avoid the 24-inch wheel model. I haven't tested that one yet, but based on my experience in competitors with wheels that big, look at the GMC Yukon Denali, for example, that really can cause a problem with ride quality. Ford may have figured it out, but I would say try to get smaller wheels on your Expedition. It'll ride and handle better. Ford has Blue Cruise available on the Expedition. You can either get a 90-day trial, sign up for a year, or get one for not the life of the vehicle, but for about 7 years. Ford guarantees at least 7 years, after which they don't say if the service is still going to be offered. So if you're checking that option, just be aware, just like 4G into 5G from 3G, all of these networks, the cell networks, and of course all the hardware that's inside this truck, will be eventually out of date, and it doesn't mean the manufacturer has to support it. Generally though, the system works pretty well, similar to GM Super Cruise, automatic lane changes, and you can see graphics right up here on the instrument panel. The one thing I would advise if you're choosing the Tremor model, be aware that if you're on a trail and you get rocks and anything else in those tires, you might hear them ping off the bottom of the chassis. These tires, they're generals, they're good, but if you don't really need all-terrain tires, I would really stick with the regular street trims of the Expedition. I think the Expedition is a little bit louder than other vehicles, especially the Nissan Armada, which I think is the best driving full-size SUV in this price segment. It's not just the road noise from the tires, but wind noise. This cabin does not feel as insulated, and I felt a similar way when I was driving the GMC Yukon. These American trucks just aren't as quiet as they should be. What's nice is that when you're making a turn, Ford now has blind spot cameras right on the instrument panel. That's really nice. And there's not a lot of dive or lean in this truck. It's pretty good. Again, I would like some extra feedback from the steering wheel, and I just don't like turning this wheel. It just makes me feel uncomfortable. Brakes generally though, those feel good. So overall, I'd say that, the performance here, pretty adequate. The new Expedition has two screens, a 13.2-inch touchscreen, which you'll find in a lot of other Ford SUVs, and that's a 24-inch non-touch screen. Up there, it's showing basically a few things that you can adjust from this screen. So, for example, tire pressure, gauges, off-road status, variable things that you can put there. The maps will also show up there because this is a Google OS-based system. So yes, native Google Maps, you get Assistant, all that stuff. Touchscreen here, which got vehicle status information. This is generally easy to use, as are the settings. So when you're parked, Ford has always been pretty good with this, and this is faster than other sync systems, especially the big vertical touchscreen that the Expedition was using last model year. You'll notice the steering wheel is not round. It's a squircle. That's so you can see over the top and into this display. However, if you actually want to adjust settings, you'll notice that there's no actual buttons here. There's only two. There's actually 4 of them altogether, but you have to look at the top screen. So if I want to, say, adjust the steering wheel, tilt and telescope, I have to do this, go over here, and I have to drag this. So all of this effort just to do this. Now, lighting is controlled only by the screen. You have to tap over here to adjust the headlights and, of course, these off-road lights. That I don't really like, but there's also a lot of ambient lighting colors you can choose, and also zone lighting is new for 2025. Just like on the F-150, you can basically have lighting all around the vehicle, including when it's off. There's a row of buttons here. This is the gear selector, gear changing, volume. Got a few things like the hazard lights and these low-resolution cameras. That could be a lot better. But what you do get on the touchscreen are the climate controls. At least they're always there. Front, rear. You adjust this here. It's still not quite as simple as before. The big screen, again, on the previous Expedition was really just as complex, but older Expeditions were certainly a lot simpler than this. The 2025 Ford Expedition starts at $62,000. There are 7 trims, 3 of which are the Max. That's the longer wheelbase model. As tested, this Tremor, with options, $86,000. The competitors, Chevrolet Tahoe, GMC Yukon, Jeep Wagoneer, and the Nissan Armada. The Expedition was always riding on good bones, a really tough frame, independent suspension, great 4-wheel drive systems. This one doesn't really move the bar all that much. It was already having a ton of power and torque, decent fuel efficiency, and also good off-road performance. On this model though, I think Ford is taking a few steps back with technology. The interior just seems unfinished and not as nice as rivals from like GMC, Chevrolet, and even Nissan with the new Armada. What do you think? There's lots of options you can choose on this truck, and it is still very capable. It's just not my favorite in the segment. Go to CarGurus.com, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.